Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, April 15th. If you have any questions or concerns or business with us, come up to this microphone, give us your name and address, and tell us what's on your mind. Call the roll, please.
Cedar.
Here.
Ellery.
Here.
Kinspotter.
Here.
Koopa.
Here.
Laporte.
Here.
McCartney.
Here.
Watt.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'd like to, council to consider adding an item to 9D under new business. The item would be to authorize administration to negotiate a letter of interest with Whittlesey Development Limited regarding real estate in the industrial park. I'll need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so 9D, authorize administration to negotiate letter of interest, Whittlesey Development Limited regarding real estate industrial park. Thank you. Item number 4, consent agenda A, City Council minutes of April 1st, 2019, regular meeting. Recommendation approved. B is the Planning Commission minutes of January 9th, 2019 meeting. Recommendation received. And the St. Clair Historical Commission minutes of March 14th, 2019 meeting. Recommendation received.
Motion to approve A through C as
Support.
presented.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have presentations tonight. Bill Tucker is here for our annual audit. Mr. Tucker, welcome.
All right, good evening. I'm Bill Tucker from Maynard Costerison, here tonight to present to you the audited financial statements from September 30th, 2018. So can I start by just going through the information that was handed out to you in your packets, and then I will go from there.
I've got a question before we get started. You got anything for us to follow with?
Couple of hours.
For audience?
Can I have my packet?
You know, we
Anyone
talk
else
about-
want
Yep.
one? Mike? One more?
I have 2.
I guess my question is, why we always have to have the information when we talk about this?
Yeah, I didn't foresee that, Bill, sorry.
It is a presentation, correct?
Pardon me?
It is a presentation, right?
Right.
We should have something there. We should have to ask for, you know what I'm saying? Something to follow along with.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Start by just going through the information that was handed out to you in your packets, and then we'll get into the audit presentation itself. So the one loose letter that was in your packet is our, so this is just kind of that loose letter that was with it, with the audited financial statements. This is what we consider to be our board communication letter. A majority of the information within this letter is boilerplate language. It does go through and address some of the more significant estimates within the financial statements for such things as you're getting actuarial valuations done on your OPEB and your pension liabilities. Those are very significant estimates in the financial statements for those. The other document that you had was the bound financial statements for September 30th, 2018. Within this document, you'll find all the necessary financial statements and note disclosures to be in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Also within there, you'll find the independent auditor's report, which provides our opinion on those financial statements. So all that is in this larger of the 2 documents. The one document that I handed out to you tonight was the audit presentation outline. So I've taken pages out of those financial statements. I've also added in a couple graphs and charts for you. So all that is in this document that I handed out to you tonight. All right, the first page that we turn to in the audit presentation outline is page Roman numeral number 1, which is the independent auditor's report. The purpose of an audit is to provide an opinion as to the fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's not to detect fraud, and it's not to give you an opinion on your internal controls. Within the independent auditor's report, we're providing our opinion on your financial statements. We're actually giving our opinion on the 10 opinion units of the city. Those 10 opinion units are described in the first paragraph, and they are the governmental activities, the business type activities, the aggregate discretely presented component units, each major fund, in which there are 6 major funds in the current year, the general fund, the major street fund, the reserve pension tax levy fund, the sewer fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund. And then the last opinion unit is that aggregate remaining fund information. Our opinion on each of those 10 opinion units is at the top of the second page in the paragraph that's labeled opinions, in which it states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. That's what we would consider to be an unmodified or clean opinion. And that's the best opinion you can receive on your financial statements. All right, from there we'll actually get into a little bit of the financial statements. The first page that we're turning to is page number 1. This is the statement of net position. The statement of net position is presented on the full accrual basis of accounting, just like a business. So you're going to see on there your capital assets, your long-term debt, also includes your net pension liability and your total other post-employment benefits liability as well. This is a snapshot of your assets, deferred outflows resources, liabilities, deferred inflows resources, and net position at September 30th, 2018. I've highlighted 2 numbers on this page for you. The first one is your net pension liability. So you've seen this number over the last couple of years. This is probably the 3rd or 4th straight year that we've shown that as GASB 68 came into effect a couple of years ago. Overall, total net pension liability of approximately $9.4 million at September 30th. The next number down is new in 2018. So this is your total other post-employment benefits liability. With the adoption of GASB statement number 75, this is a new liability that's being presented in the financial statements. So a total liability at September 30th of approximately $2.6 million. Do have a little bit more details on each of those on the very next 2 pages for you, just because they are so significant for the city. The first page that we turn to relates to your net pension liability. Just kind of gives you an idea of where those numbers or how that's made up. The numbers I've highlighted there for you on the page. So it starts off at the top with your total pension liability, $22.3 million. You currently have funded, the next highlighted number down there, $12.9 million that's set aside in investments for pensions, leaving you with that net pension liability of $9.4 million. Currently, your pension is funded at approximately 58%. That is a little bit lower than the trends that we're seeing across the state. Trend-wise, across the state for other municipalities, I'm seeing about 70% is the average for where pensions are funded at. So like I said, you guys are at 58% at the end of this year. The next page relates to your net OPEB liability or other post-employment benefits liability. Again, starts off, that first highlighted number is that total OPEB liability. Currently, you did not have a trust fund set aside for your OPEB related to that. So total liability, $2.6 million, and that is 0% funded at the end of the year. On average for those across the state, it's about 25% funded. Currently is where we're seeing a lot of municipalities have been in the same boat as you, just kind of doing the pay-as-you-go, kind of getting those trust funds started for OPEB plans. All right. Any questions on those before I move forward? All right. The next page that we're going to turn to is page number 3 of the financial statements. Page number 3 is your governmental funds balance sheet. This is a snapshot of your assets, liabilities, deferred inflows resources, and fund balance at September 30th, 2018. We'll focus on the far left column, the general fund. This is the main operating fund of the city. And in particular on this page, we like to look at your total fund balance and then also a combination of your unassigned and assigned fund balances. Total fund balance at September 30th, 2018 in the general fund of $4,808,935, with portions of that that are considered to be non-spendable for such things as prepaid expenses, so you've already expended those dollars out, leaving you with an assigned and unassigned fund balance of $4,778,594. That is that combination of the assigned and unassigned dollars there for you. That dollar amount is available for expenditures in future periods and represents approximately 140% of your annual operating expenses. That is up a little bit from last year, so last year was about 117% of your annual operating expenses in fund balance. All right, from there we'll turn to the next page, page number 5 of the financial statements. Page number 5 is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the year ended September 30, 2018. Again, focusing on that far left column of the general fund. Start from the top of the page with your total revenues. Total revenues for last fiscal year of $4,369,715. That was an increase of approximately $258,000 or 6.3% compared to 2017. Two main areas that we saw fluctuations within your revenues. The first area was your intergovernmental revenues. Those were up about $200,000 compared to the previous year, and that was a result of a DNR grant for the Palmer Park Boardwalk reconstruction. The other area that we saw significant fluctuation was your other revenues. Your other revenues were up about $132,000 compared to the previous year, and that was a result of increases in contributions received for various contributions for the park and the museum as well. Moving down the page to your total expenditures, you had total expenditures of $3,406,966. That was an increase of approximately $425,000 or 14% compared to 2017. The main area that we saw fluctuation there within your expenditures was your capital outlay expenditures as a result of the reconstruction of the Palmer Park Boardwalk. Results for the year, the third number up from the bottom, you added to your fund balance in the general fund in the dollar amount of $391,835. All right, from there we had a couple of graphs and charts for you. The first chart is...
Bill, before you go
yes,
on,
sir.
Back on page 5, can you explain the other financing resources, the transfers in, transfers out? What is that?
So the transfers in and out are going between different funds. So there might be money going into the major street fund, for example, from a different fund. So like the local street might be transferring money into your major street fund. So those are just dollars going from one fund to another fund. And obviously those have to be, there are certain restrictions on some of those dollars, so that is stuff that we look at, but that is what those would be, just transfers from one fund to another. Yes, sir. All right. All right, as I mentioned, the first chart that we get to is a 5-year analysis of your general fund revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. As you can see from this chart, your blue is your revenues, red is your expenditures, and then the green is your fund balance. And your revenues have exceeded your expenditures for each of the last 5 years. And you can see that positive increase in your overall fund balance in each of those 5 years as well. The next two charts that we have for you, this is the composition of your revenues and your expenditures. The first one is the composition of your revenues. Making up the largest piece of the pie for your revenues is your tax revenues at 60% of your total general fund revenues. That is percentage-wise down from last year. Last year is about 70% of your total revenues. And at the bottom of the page, your general fund expenditure. The making up the largest piece of the pie there is your public safety expenditures at 28% of your total expenditures. That is down just a little bit from last year. Last year is about 30% of your total expenditures. All right, that is all I plan to go over with council. Did anybody have any other questions on anything they saw in the financial statements?
I know you said that our tax revenue went from 70 to 60%.
Yes, it went from 70 to 60% of your overall composition of your general fund. So probably the main reason for that is some of those increases that I talked about before. So, your intergovernmental revenues went up and your other revenues went up as well. So those increases caused the percentage to decrease. Yes, overall.
What's the difference between other and other financing uses?
So the other would be like those contributions. Actually,
I'm looking at the
Yep,
expenditures.
you're talking about the expenditures, sorry. Let me look at that real quick. So the other financing uses, right off the cuff, is the transfers out. So that's the transfers out to the other funds.
Okay.
And then the other expenditures would be made up of, see if I can pull that information real quick for you, just to give you an idea. Your other expenditures would be like fringe benefits and insurance is included in that other expenditure area.
Okay, thank you.
Every year I ask you this, Bill, but we're in the middle of negotiations right now with contracts, and what do you see? What are people doing out there as far as the pension liabilities? How do we close that gap with our unfunded?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing, I think there's two pieces to it for you. One, looking at where you're at with your general fund. I mean, you have adequate amount of fund balance sitting there in your general fund for future periods. So, I mean, we talked about 140% of fund balance compared to your annual expenditures. So you have adequate amount of dollars there to contribute to your pension or your OPEB. The other thing that I would want to mention too is for your other post-employment benefits, setting up a trust and start putting dollars towards that. So, I mean, there are requirements from the state of Michigan of where they want you to be at with each of those. They want you to be at 60% for your pension. Funded-wise, you're at fund 58%. And for OPEB, they want you to be at 40%. And you're at 0. So getting that and going in the right direction of setting up the trust for OPEB and start contributing to that. I know you've mentioned this before. I think there are municipalities out there that are, have bonded for that even. They've gone to that length of bonding to pay off those liabilities and not pay them off, but, get them fully funded. That is one avenue that, people are taking to do that. But obviously that's a lot of things to measure there and figure out, if there's a cost benefit to doing that. Because obviously if you bond, then you're paying it off over that certain period of time of 20 years or whatever those bonds are for.
Right.
I'd like to add a couple things to this. If I want to take a look at page 40 of their audit, which you should have. Bill has referenced a large amount that we have set aside. And later tonight, we'll talk about pension a little bit more. But I'd like to point out two numbers on there. At the end of the year, we assigned some of those funds, part of it to the pension, $681,693. That's probably just over halfway down the page. And then for the post-employment benefits, so retiree health care, we've set aside $1,043,432. So if you take a look at that, I know you can't count it because it's not in a trust, but that would put us at 40%. And again, they want us where?
40% for OPEB, yes.
Yeah. So So
that's allocated?
it's set aside, so if we needed it, if a road failed, obviously you could use it for that. Once you put it in the trust, you can't.
Okay.
But it's money that's been set aside. Just want to point that out. And then, Mr. Watt, you had asked earlier about the amount that's transferred or amongst funds. And if you look at the general fund, we transfer about $800,000 from the general fund, the 16 mills that we collect for operating. 75,000 goes to major streets from that collection to help with road repairs. Local streets gets 180,000. So those are pretty good numbers on our tax capture. And then the largest number is to the pension fund, which is just under $400,000.
Anything else from council? Anything from the public? Yeah.
Fund balance in the garbage fund and the equipment pool fund.
Can you come to the microphone? You've been quiet.
Again. So Clinton, South Riverside, what's the fund balance of the garbage fund and the equipment pool fund?
Take me just a moment to pull those up. $64,000 in rubbish.
Okay.
Pull me on page 8 or 10. 8 or 10. Thought it was in the back. Thought it was a separate little breakdown. Okay, thanks. You could have spit it out, Bill.
Yeah, $1,152,000.
In the equipment pool.
Yep.
How much was that again?
Why we need $1 million to the equipment pool, and how exactly it works, and how that money got in there?
We'll save that for budgets, if that's okay with council. I mean, essentially what happens is the internal service fund, which is what that is, charges the major streets, local streets, wherever work is done, based on state approved amounts for whatever type of equipment it is. So the state sets the rates, and then based on how many hours that piece of equipment's used, it gets charged back. And why do we need so much? Salt trucks are very expensive.
In your back truck.
When you buy a salt truck, the general fund pays it back, correct?
No, what happens is it's purchased and it's set up similar to a business where you depreciate it. It's paid back when it's used.
So how did $1 million accumulate in that fund?
Well, we use the vac truck when we have water main breaks. We use a lot of our equipment. Cemetery, if we're digging graves, need a tractor, that gets charged back.
All that money can be spent on equipment.
Can be spent on equipment.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, we'll go to number 6, proclamations. I do have a proclamation before me. The City of St. Clair's been a Tree City, USA for 21 years now. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture in 1872 that a special day be set aside for planting trees, whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoils by wind and water, cutting heat, cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewals, therefore, I, Bill Cedar Jr., by the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of St. Clair, do hereby proclaim April 26th, 2019 as Arbor Day in the city of St. Clair. I urge all citizens to support efforts to care for our trees, our woodlands, support the community, and the forestry programs. April 26th, Arbor Day. Thank you. Go to number 7, Reports of Administration. Mr. Booth.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a couple items this evening. First, I'd like to start by letting residents know that City Hall will be closed this Friday, April 19th, in observance of Good Friday. I also want them to know an updated schedule for construction projects for Henry Street, South 11th Street, and Thornapple will be available this week. Once available, we will post the schedule on the city's website. Another road update, Fredmore Highway. There's a roundabout that's going in at Wadhams and Fredmore. Originally, that was going to be done in July, early July, I guess, June, July. That has been moved back. It's going to start in August with an expected completion date prior to the new school year. And that's all I have, sir.
Anything from Mr. Booth?
Any further word on the painting of M29?
Any further? Traded emails with MDOT this morning to talk about the road diet. That's what you're referring to, Mike?
Yes.
We're trying to work out some issues that we have with the railroad south of the bridge, so As soon as I have something additional to share, I'll let you know, and if I have a time frame as
I have a
well.
question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Who establishes the schedules for the unfinished roads that we started last fall?
Who schedule, or who does
Who
that?
establishes the schedule? I mean, we've missed a good half a month of construction, of good weather, and there's road construction going on all over the place, and we have Henry Street that's not finished. We haven't even flagged and marked Thornapple Street or 11th Street. I'm just wondering why these things aren't on the schedule and working now. I don't understand it. And so who sets the schedule? Does the contractor set the schedule, or does AEW set the schedule?
AEW typically reaches out to the contractor, and then they share that with us.
I think the frost laws just came off Thursday, didn't they?
They've been working on streets for a month.
Major or
Yeah,
local?
but the
Major or local?
frost laws didn't, they just
Came
went
off
off.
last
Yeah,
So,
they just went off Thursday.
yeah.
Well, Chartier's been working on Clinton Avenue since last Monday when the frost laws were on.
But that's a Class 1
Half-load
road,
trucks.
Class A
Well,
road.
that's how you
isn't
get
it?
to Henry Street. You're on a Class A road.
Right.
And we don't have weight limits on city streets. So, I mean, we throwing darts at excuses instead of holding our contractors' feet to the fire and getting these streets done when we just lost a good half month of great weather. If it's Pangori that we need to talk to, I don't have a problem calling him, but I mean, someone's got to light a fire under these guys and get these streets done.
When did they say they give you the schedule on it? 17th?
17th, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Can we get an email or a notification to
Absolutely.
council?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Everything good with Clinton? Everything's going good?
I know we had some issues with traffic at first. I haven't heard anything since.
Probably when they close the eastbound, it's probably gonna be a big mess. I don't know, I think they gotta do something with the semis going up 4th Street to Withrow that don't work. I know they're not supposed to, but when they had the road completely closed off, it was a mess.
Well, I would
Tim,
suggest that
you
we
get
get
anything?
engineering to post a sign out on King Road and Trevor Highway directing truck traffic.
No, I mean, are you getting anything, any kind of calls?
The very first day, we got it.
Why aren't we rerouting those guys that have to go to Cargill down to Cuddiga on King Road?
There's no signage on Trevor at all.
No, there's not.
Cargill was supposed to make contact with their.
Yeah. Both Steve Pangori from AEW and I were both in communication with Cargill.
But we control the traffic, Cargill doesn't.
Yeah, you still have some stragglers, but, yeah, I think we definitely need to do something before they close the
It was
eastbound
like Brown
side.
and Range, the truckers don't read the signs you put up.
Mhm.
So-
Well, then we should be ticketing them.
I can pay some overtime, because I only have one guy.
Yeah.
I mean, my phone blew up last week, and I very seldom get calls from the second ward. My phone blew up last week. From traffic.
I understand why they don't call me.
Well, I can defer them to you.
Yeah, because they don't.
I just defer them to City Hall because I have nothing to go by. I have no traffic route or anything to tell them other than we'll look into it, you know. I just thought we could be a little bit proactive with some signage or something that would say, truck, when they were working on King Road a couple years ago, getting ready for the Bell River expansion, the county had traffic detoured everywhere. And we're letting these guys come into the city and run up and down these city streets that aren't wide enough to set 50-foot freight boxes down, so.
It's just sort of ironic that you have all kinds of signage to tell you how to get to Tim Hortons and Burger King, but we don't have signs to tell the semis where to go.
Or go to Palmer Bank, which doesn't exist, so, you know.
Is that Chartier's responsibility? For
The
signage?
signage, yeah, it's part of the contract.
So you can contact them and get them on it?
Or are we still having problems, I guess? Yes?
I can foresee it if we don't do something before right now you got the eastbound open, but when they shut that side down, when the
Well, right now you got trucks coming out of Cargill, going across the bridge up to Vine Street, going north on Vine Street to 6th Street, down 6th Street to Fredmore Highway.
I haven't heard that.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I follow them every day. I mean, send them up to Davis Road. That's all Class A road, that's the truck route.
Yeah.
That was where the request was made, come through
Or the
Marysville,
other way. Probably got-
up Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping somebody's watching this tonight and at Cargill and can talk to their drivers, but
But I still think I don't know who can put the signage out, but the route needs to be altered or changed or whatever.
well, the detour signs show Vine Street to 6th Street.
It needs to be
You know,
changed.
and it's-
Yeah, I know.
For pedestrian
Yeah.
traffic, it's fine, but
Yeah.
for truck traffic, it's not.
No.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll go to B. Mr. Downey, you have anything?
I have nothing this evening, Your Honor.
All right, see you, city departments. Anybody out there? City departments?
Just another reminder of the special election on Tuesday, May 7th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you. D is authority boards and commissions. Anybody? All right, no unfinished business. Number 9, new business. A, schedule public hearing for 2019-2020 annual budget. When would you like that?
Let's see, the city's first draft of the 2019-20 fiscal year budget will be provided to council at the May 6th meeting. The budget hearing request is for May 20th.
May 20th, what time? 7?
7 o'clock.
I make a
moved.
motion. Support.
All right, motion made, supported for May 20th, 7 p.m. budget hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? B, approve Freedom of Information Act policies and guidelines. Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor. At last meeting, I distributed our current policy and guidelines for our Freedom of Information Act request form and summary and statement of fees and everything that goes along with that. So it's brought to your attention as a review. I'd like to get on some kind of schedule, maybe every 5 years, maybe every 10 years, depends on if and when any laws change. So today, after the review, I would just like a motion to approve in its current form.
So move.
Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right, C, approve additional contribution to MERS pension fund. Mr. Booth.
I'm requesting council's approval to make a one-time contribution to the city's MERS Pension Trust Fund in the amount of $250,000. This will increase our funding level by 1.1% to 58.1%. If approved, I will include this change with my budget adjustments in September. Funding will come from the general fund balance. Further, this contribution will be included as part of the city's corrective action plan that is to be filed with the state of Michigan during May. Corrective action plans are required for pensions that are not funded at 60% or more. Total liabilities of the pension fund is $22,953,842. Assets of $13,090,612. That's as of 12/31/17. I know that some of the numbers he had given you earlier, I think, were split between the governmental funds and the enterprise funds. So if those numbers don't sound totally familiar, I think you'd have to add a couple numbers together that he'd given you earlier to come up with those. So.
I'd make a motion to approve the contribution.
Support. All right, the motion made, support. Any questions?
I do have a question to follow up with that, Your Honor. Mike, is that part of the settlement that we had applied for on getting our pension liability up?
I'm sorry.
Is that a part didn't we file an amendment a while back?
What they do now is when you're not funded to 60, they'll ask you to file a corrective action. Well, you can ask for a waiver, and I asked for the waiver because our revenues are such that the revenues plus our funding level I thought were sufficient, but we're right there. So they declined that. So because of that, I need to file a corrective action plan. This will help get us in the right direction.
Will this satisfy them for?
It will not. I'm guessing it'll satisfy them now. And then as part of my corrective action plan, you have to say when you'll become 60% funded, which will be 2024, and looking at a lot of the other communities, not that we're trying to benchmark off from them, but when you look at them, they're projecting out even further, like 2028, in a longer time frame. Obviously, we're probably due for a downturn in the economy, so I'm going to look at it. I'd like to do the 250, see what that does for us, and then maybe in our next budget cycle, do another 250 or something like that. Because we need to start chipping away, just like we have with the roads. We have a road program. Now we need to address the issues with our pension.
Well,
And we're
thanks, sir.
doing that through contract negotiations, and obviously we need to make some contributions.
Well, thanks for being a bulldog on this. I know it's been a priority of yours, so thank you.
Thank you.
A vote on it?
I would have a question for you.
What percentage or how much is coming out of the general fund? How much out of the water fund and how much out of the sewer fund?
100% of that will come from the general fund.
None of it out of the sewer fund and water fund?
No.
Why not? Do they participate in the MERS?
Yes, they do, and on an annual basis, the actual cost for those enterprise funds, they do get charged back. So,
None of the deficit applies to the water sewer fund?
absolutely.
So why ain't they paying part of it?
We may make that adjustment going forward, Bill. So far, we have not.
I guess my question, why is the burden put on the taxpayers, not the enterprise funds, they're part of it. They're part of the problem, they should be part of the solution.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Yes, there
Yes,
is.
been supported.
All right, motion made, supporting questions? Call the roll, please.
McCartney?
Yes.
Flott?
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kinsladder?
Yes.
Hoopa?
Yes.
Report?
Yes.
Cedar?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Number 10 is claiming the counts, April 5 and 11, 2019. I'm sorry.
Do
You skipped D. Oh, geez, oh, Pete, I'm sorry, you guys. Let's go back to D before I jump into claims and accounts, all right? I think you got a lot of eyes watching me. All right, so I'm sorry about that. D is to authorize administration to negotiate a letter of interest with Whittlesey Development Limited regarding real estate in the industrial park.
you just need a motion?
I need a motion to that effect, yes.
I'll support.
All right, the motion's made, support. Any questions?
I just have a question on that, Your Honor. Does that impede the existing agreement we have with the realtor that's already listed the property?
It does not. We might have to, if this bears fruit and there ends up being a purchase agreement that arises from this, we'd probably have to speak with our broker about the arrangement we have, because they do have a listing agreement with the city on a month-to-month basis at this point.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Now we'll go to number 10. Claims and accounts for April 5 and 11, 2019.
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 11 is public questions and public comment. Anybody have anything tonight?
Nagel, 059 North Riverside. Several, this is on the M29 diet thing coming up. Several meetings ago, there was talk on the council about, there was talk about the bicycle lane, maybe on the east side, maybe on the west side. I'm just wondering if there's been any further thought or decision on that. If not, I have a thought.
Anything from Derek?
What's your thought?
So sidewalk is on the west side of the street. And since we're right there, I see it every day. There's dogs, there's kids, there's bikes. Now, I'm just wondering if we've got the choice, why we wouldn't put the bicycle lane on the other side of the street to keep it away from the dogs and just stop this. A thought. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Fred Hayes, 709 Clinton. Back on February the 11th, I filed a complaint with the city about the continuing problem at 602 South 8th, the barber shop. And then on March the 5th, I added a supplement to that complaint. Since then, I've not heard anything from the city, what they've done or had any contact. And as far as I'm concerned, the problem is still continuing.
Anything on that?
No.
No. Mr. Booth?
Nothing new. I know we're looking at setting an appointment up with one of the homeowners in your area. to talk about the situation and some of the outstanding items.
I
Beyond that,
hadn't even gotten a letter that said, can I have an appointment?
We have a meeting, when's that meeting, Annette?
It is after the May 6th regular council meeting.
You're welcome to come to that, Fred.
Okay,
What's the meeting? What is the meeting?
I'll contact you, Mr. Hayes.
thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else?
May I submit these for copy for you, Chairman? My name is Matt Flynn, and I'm here tonight to clear up a few things and to request to be added to the agenda on April 29th for the council to be able to look at our application for the St. Clair Beer and Wine Festival. I received a call on Friday from the chief of police saying that we wouldn't be on the agenda for tonight and that I would receive a letter from the city. Today, I received this letter at 4:17, so forgive me if I'm a little distraught. I was conducting a youth soccer practice, dropped that, went home, took a shower, and came here. If you want more detail of a chain of events that occurred in the past years with us submitting applications with the city for this event, our beer festival, I can provide those to everybody. Additionally, I can provide an email follow-up about what I'm clearing up tonight. I'm shocked with the reasons in this letter. It starts out, talks about a charity partner. We submitted the application. We then had a charity partner. We submitted that charity's application. The chief signed that. We submitted it over. Didn't hear anything. And then finally we heard that that charity was no longer interested in doing the event. And the reasons that that charity was no longer interested in that event is because she was getting numerous calls from others kind of letting them know that they wouldn't support their charity anymore and scared them away. We heard about this a month after the fact. We thought everything was moving forward. That charity is still going to benefit. We talked to the charity and told them after we do the event, we're still going to donate money to them because we will work and talk with them and promise them that. We worked and we found another charity. We had to go outside of St. Clair to find another charity because we didn't want the same thing to happen to another local charity. So the charity that we found, even though the founder of it lives in Wayne County in Grosse Pointe, her charity benefits Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, St. Clair County, and benefits children, helping them pay for sports, helping them pay for uniforms, and other things like that. And these are reasons in the letter that we're getting denied on there. Thank you, Mr. Downey, for discovering that the corporation, my sister's corporation, has been filed with the state of Michigan for 4 years, doesn't have an S on it. So, which he discovered, Ultimate Fund Production, is what the state recognized because somebody omitted an S. But we've been getting our license for 4 years under Ultimate Fund Productions, even though apparently this S was missing, and this year now it's a big deal. We never knew of a 90-day rule in the past about you had to submit an application 90 days in advance. We submitted this in January. We submitted a charity. A charity got scared off. We found another charity. We're looking just to be able to come in here in front of the city council to be able to look at this event. Also, there was an issue in here about tickets up for sale. The past 4 years, we've had our tickets up for sale before the event's been approved. And we've known no different. We apologize if those tickets were up for sale, but we knew no different of having our tickets up for sale and marketing before the event because that's the way it's been going for 4 years. I just want to request to be put onto the agenda the next time. If the council needs more information, we have pages and pages and pages of emails copied, notes, everything that could be brought to you prior to that so you can have the information in front of you to look at this and make an educated decision. We will, if need be, adjust the application that was submitted in January to take the S off of production and to put our charity up there that's been submitted since March. The new charity we found a week after we found out the other one had been scared off. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, any other public comments? Okay, we will go to number 12. Anybody have anything from the group tonight?
Salmon steaks? At the 27th?
Yep.
Salmon steak fishing tournament on April 27th?
Anybody else? Anybody else have anything? Okay. Then I will go to number 13 and ask for a motion to go into closed session to discuss the strategy connected to negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement with employees represented by the POLC. Scratch off the last half of that. This is only for POLC negotiations. I'll ask for a
So moved,
motion.
Your Honor.
All right, the motion made, supported. Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Watt?
Support.
Yes.
Ellery?
Yes.
Kinsler? Koopa? Laporte?
Yes.
McCartney?
Yeah.
Peter?
Yes.
Carried, Your Honor.
Thank you. We will not be taking any action when we come back out here. You're more than welcome to hang around and wait, but we're not going to take any action on any of this when we come back. I guess I don't. All right. Thank you for coming, everyone.